Hi, my name is Jinhong Minn, and I'm going to recite an excerpt by The Finger by William S. Burroughs. The Finger tells a story of a man who becomes convinced that one of his finger has developed a life on its own. As his obsession grows, he slowly loses his sense of reality and control. The story explores themes of addiction, identity, and paranoia, and this shows how irrational thoughts can completely take over someone's mind. In this excerpt, you'll see how the narrator fear reaches its breaking point. The Finger by William S. Burroughs. His room opened onto a dark shaft. He turned on the light. Black, stained furniture. A double bed with a thin mattress and sagging springs. Lee unwrapped the shears and held them in his hand. He put the shears down on the dresser in front of an oval mirror that turned on a pivot. Lee walked around the room. He picked up the shears again and placed the end joint of his left little finger against the saw teeth, lower blade exactly at the knuckle. Slowly, he lowered the cutting blade until it rested against the flesh of his finger. He looked at the mirror, composing his face into a supercilious mask of an 18th century dandy. He took a deep breath, pressed the handle quick and hard. He felt no pain. The finger joint fell on the dresser. Lee turned his hand over and looked at the stub. Blood spurted up and hit him in the face. He felt a sudden deep pity of the finger joint that lay there on the dresser. A few drops of blood gathering around the white bone. Tears came to his eyes. It didn't do anything, he said in a broken child's voice. He adjusted his face again, cleaned the blood off it with a towel, and bandaged his finger crudely, adding more gauze as the blood soaked through. In a few minutes, the bleeding had stopped. Lee picked up the finger joint and put it in his vest pocket. He walked out of the hotel, tossing his key on the desk. I've done it, he said to himself. Waves of euphoria swept through him as he walked down the street. He stopped in a bar and ordered a double brandy, meeting all eyes with a level, friendly stare. Goodwill flowed out of him for everyone he saw, for the whole world. A lifetime of defensive hostility had fallen from him. Half an hour later, he was sitting with his analyst on a park bench in Central Park. The analyst was trying to persuade him to go to Bellevue, and as suggested, they go outside and talk it over. Really, Bill, you're doing yourself a great disservice. When you realize what you've done, you'll need psychiatric care. Your ego will be overwhelmed. All I need is to have this finger sewed up. I've got a date tonight. Really, Bill? I don't see how I can continue as your psychiatrist if you don't follow my advice in this matter. The analyst's voice had become whiny, shrill, almost hysterical. But Lee wasn't listening. He felt a deep trust in the doctor. The doctor would take care of him. He turned to the doctor with a little boy's smile. Why don't you fix it yourself? I haven't practiced since my internship, and I don't have the necessary materials in any case. This has to be sewed up right, or it could get infected right up on the arm. Lee finally agreed to go to Bellevue for medical treatment only. At Bellevue, Lee sat on a bench, waiting while the doctor talked to somebody. The doctor came back and led Lee to another room, where an intern sewed up the finger and put on a dressing. The doctor kept urging himself to allow himself to be committed. Lee was overcome by a sudden faintness. A nurse told him to put his head back. Lee felt like he must put himself entirely on the care of the doctor. All right, all right, he said. I'll do what you say. The doctor patted his arm. Ah, you're doing the right thing, Bill. The doctor led him past several desks where he signed papers. I'm cutting red tape by the yard, the doctor said. Finally, Lee found himself in a dressing gown in a bare ward. Where is my room? He asked the nurse. Your room? I don't know what bed you've been assigned to. Anyway, you can't go there before 8 unless you have a special order from the doctor. Where is my doctor? Dr. Bromfield. He isn't here now. He'll be in tomorrow morning around 10. I mean, Dr. Horowitz. Dr. Horowitz? I don't think he's on the staff list here. He looked around him at the bare corridors, the men walking around in bathrobes, mothering under the cold, in different dyes of an attendant. Why, this is a psychopathic ward, he thought. He put me here and ran away. Thank you.